Hello friends! Today I'm going to do an introduction to Lenormand. It is a divinatory system I use fairly often, and some people over the last couple of weeks have asked for an introduction video. So this is going to be a beginner-friendly video about Lenormand and how to use it. To start off, the history of Lenormand is a bit convoluted, because the cards themselves started as a part of a German board game called Das Spiel der Hoffnung, or when translated into English, the Game of Hope. And to German speakers, I hope I said that right. It did not originally have anything to do with the name Lenormand, because Lenormand is actually the name of a French diviner. Her name is Marie Anne Lenormand, and she was particularly well known during the Napoleonic era. In an attempt to sell more cards, card manufacturers attached her name to them, even though historically we have no evidence that she actually used them. As far as I can tell, she used her own proprietary mix of cards that aren't sold because she literally made them herself. That being the case, most of Lenormand is a relatively new divination system. Lenormand can also be read with regular playing cards, and most modern decks that you can buy have those correspondences on the cards themselves. So I have 3 decks here that I will use as examples as what I consider a good versus a not so good Lenormand deck. First off, Lenormand is very simple. Instead of reading the image on the card like you would for tarot, it's the title of the card. And each card has a more mundane meaning. It's kind of like a deck of only minor arcana, if you were to make a comparison to tarot. So typically you want cards that have simple images, the name of the card, and it's going to be hard to read, but down in this corner, you'll see the correspondences. You'll get a better picture of that when I do the sample reading. These ones are considerably larger and fit a different theme. They've got a much more like realism pictures to them, but you can still see the correspondences, you can see the number of the card and what the card is representing. These ones do not have the name on them, which I don't like as much, but this is a good middle ground. So the first one is called Under the Roses Lenormand, and the second is Thelema Lenormand. And this one is a very, very pretty deck. It's the Mirror Truth Lenormand. But unfortunately, I find that the pictures are kind of distracting because they are so pretty and they're more involved. So if you look at this, it does have a correspondence to the number up in this corner. It has the reference to what card in a standard deck it references there, and it has the name. But it is such a pretty deck, but I struggle to read from it. So now that you know the basics of what a Lenormand card should have on it, namely the correspondence to the playing card, the number in the deck, and a simple image and the name of the card, I'm going to remove the 2 that I'm not going to be reading from so that I have space to actually do a reading with the Under the Roses Lenormand. And as part of that, I am going to be changing camera angle so you can actually see the cards clearly rather than just holding them up this way. All right, so camera angle is about to change. Okay, so Lenormand is typically read in one of 2 ways. So the first method, you just lay out single cards and you use them to essentially tell the story of the situation. Lenormand also is not read with, oh boy, well, all of these readings that I'm doing today as examples are for myself and in my current situation. So the first method is to typically lay 3 out and see how it proceeds to the story. The snake is a duplicitous person or a liar. The garden is social engagements, and the gentleman, in this case, I'm the one who the reading is about, so it's referencing me as the male person involved in the scenario. So it's watch out. This is essentially saying watch out for a duplicitous person in my next social engagement, which I kind of already knew because we were in the middle of dispersing my dad's estate. And this is not necessarily a bad card. It's more someone's not being genuine about their emotions, needs, feelings, etc. And that's definitely been occurring. So that's the first method. The next method that is very common is to do a grid. This is the simple method where you just use a single card. This is not, in my experience, the most common method, but it is how people learn. So then it would be a grid. And in the grid, usually you do a 3x3. Oh boy. Look at that. The same 3 cards popped up again. The central card is the primary encounter or the primary situation that you're talking about. In this case, we again have the garden, which is a social engagement. So the row to the left is the past. The row to the right is the future. And the center row is present. In this scenario, we have a social engagement. All of my siblings are coming to the house to pick up their inheritance. Crossroads is choices, and the writer is messages. So that is the current. So the past, we have the mountain, which is challenges. The clouds, which is obscurement, something is hidden. And the fish, which is wealth, money, and abundance. So it actually makes a lot of sense based off of my current situation that that's all together. The last several years, I have struggled financially as I've been taking care of my father. How everything was going to work out in that terms was all kind of clouded. Present situation, there's a message, social engagement, choices. There's a lot of decisions that I have to make in terms of where I'm going to live, how I'm going to invest my money, all of that kind of stuff. And then in the next row, there's the gentleman. Again, that would be me. There's the clover, which is good fortune, and the snake. Again, duplicitous person, somebody who's not telling the truth. Good fortune regarding someone who's not telling the truth. I'm going to have to ponder what that means. So that's the simple method of reading where you use a single card at a time. You can, to get more detailed information, go up to a 5x5 grid or even more. Now, the second method of reading, which is actually more common in my experience and is typically done after you've gotten experienced with the knowledge of what each card represents, is to read them in pairs. So going back to the first 3x3 scenario, one card is modifying the meaning of the other. So in this case, and as long as you're consistent, you're good. So I always use the top card to modify the bottom card. So I have the choices. The ring is commitment. So I have some sort of choice about commitments. The ship is a voyage, not necessarily physical, but it could also be an intellectual journey. And the writer is a message. So I have some sort of message about travel, about journey, about new discoveries. And then I have the gentleman, which is me, modified by social engagements. If you put these 3 together, be careful about what I choose to go to, because you read them as a collective group. Everything modifies each other. So after that 3x3, and again, remember, reversals aren't really a thing in Lenormand. So if we go up to a 3x3, so we're going to flip those all the same direction. And I will be making another video where I just get into the meaning of each individual card. I plan on doing a series of shorts on that. And I'll also add a link to a Google document in the description to explain what each card means as well. So, center situation, we have the owls. Often in other decks, it's just the birds, which is paired here with the garden. So the garden is social engagements, and the birds are discussions, messages, gossip. So lots of gossip, lots of discussion regarding the social interaction. Again, we go in that cross pattern where we have past, we have future, and then we have present. So in the past, we have the child, which, if it's not referencing a literal child, is referencing joy. And the clock tower, which is sometimes just the tower, which is authority. So we have some sort of connection with child and authority. We have the anchor, that which grounds you, that which holds you in place, with good fortune. The sickle, which is a quick ending. And the stars, which is hope. We have the ring with the dog. The dog is a loyal person. The ring is commitment. We have the bear and the ship. The bear is power and authority, resources, protection, and the ship is journeys. We have the gentleman, or the querent, in this case me, and the key, which is that which opens doors, that which opens opportunities. The rider, which is messages, and the snake, which is a duplicitous person. We have the bouquet. Also, sometimes in other decks, it's just the flowers, which is happiness, social life, joy, beauty, charm, proposal, and crossroads, which is choices. So if we look at this spread, we now have gossip regarding a social engagement. We have good fortune. That is the grounding principle. That's in the background. That's the past that set up for this social engagement. Paired with that, we have the sickle, which is a quick end to hope, or a quick change to hope. Something that was hoped for did not happen. And we have the clock tower, which is authority, and the child. In this case, the only people who are inheriting anything are the literal children. So there's authority impacting the children and their fortune, and not everyone's getting what they wanted. The ring and the dog, so commitment to a loyal person, and the ship and the bear, power in travel. That's definitely something I am seeing, is by removing myself of the situation, I have received power by just not wasting energy on people. Gentleman and the key, so focus on my own opportunities. The rider and the snake, messages regarding duplicitous people. Everyone has their own motives, their own desires, particularly in a situation like this about inheritance. And then the bouquet and the crossroads is choices about what will make me happy. Then you could, again, do this bigger in a 5x5. To go bigger than a 5x5 is typically referred to as a grand tableau. And a grand tableau uses two decks. but I will be doing that in a different video because that is much more advanced. That goes beyond the scope of this video. And with that, there's Lenormand 101. And I will make a document available with all the basic meanings of the cards and some things to consider. And I am in the process of filming educational YouTube shorts for each of these cards as well. So until next time, walk in the light, my friends.